Which wide receivers have the best situation to perform and surpass previous rookie classes this year in 2022? This is our top 5 situations for wide receivers. This is Locked On NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Show. I am your host, former NFL and NFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And of course, as always, got my guy, Ryan Tracy, with me. And we want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Got some good stuff going on today, man, talking about top 5 receivers and re-ranking them. And this is one of my favorite things to do because you can look at guys pre-draft and you can say whatever you like about a guy, right? And he can have all this talent and ability, etc. But if he doesn't land in the right spot, it makes it a little bit tougher to be successful. So just disclaimer, Jameson Williams did not make the list for me. All right, this is a guy who I had at wide receiver 1. I love his ability. But going to the Lions, we'll see. Maybe it's great. I mean, I have seen some receivers do very well with Jared Goff, but I just don't trust the Lions organization. I don't trust that whole situation. I don't like it. All right, so that's one guy I checked off right away. Another guy I checked off. Disclaimer again. All right, George Pickens, wide receiver out of Georgia, going to Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers they're known, everyone knows, right, how well they draft receivers. They do well, but I think a big part of that was having Big Ben Roethlisberger, and guys were just able to come in and they would hit the ground running and they would do well, right? They just throw guys there and everybody would just ball out. Well, there is no Ben Roethlisberger anymore, so I'm a little hesitant to go with George Pickens or even Calvin Austin, who I still like both guys, but we'll see. Trubisky throwing you the ball, trying Ben Roethlisberger, not really quite the same. All right, but now it's time to get into the guys who did actually make the list.
Come on.
I'll start with my number 1 guy. And this is the guy who originally did not make my top 5, but easily could have. Do you know where I'm going here?
No.
Chris Olave. All right, Chris Olave was probably my wide receiver 6. He gets drafted to New Orleans Saints, and I love it. I mean, he has Jameis Winston throwing him the ball, and I don't think people would like, oh my gosh, Jameis Winston, he's throwing him the ball. Right. But Jameis Winston, he will throw the ball to whoever, whenever, at any areas of the field. It might be a defender, but he's going to target those receivers a lot. Down the field, anywhere. And I think a guy like Chris Olave is going to open things up, and I'm expecting a tremendous rookie season out of him. This is a guy that wins all over the field. He's a very smooth route runner. He's got fires off the ball with big-time speed, threatening defensive backs vertically, getting him to open the hips so he can sit his routes down. I think he does a tremendous job of that. Guys that can run the post. We saw what he did with Justin Fields, catching bombs in 2020 season, I believe, and I mean, just airing it out. And I think it kind of took a little step back with CJ Stroud. He just wasn't throwing the ball downfield the same way that Justin Fields was, at least not to my what I remember. So first,
but he was in your top 5, wasn't he? He was in your top 5.
I had him at 6.
Did you really? Okay. Well, you're wrong then. You're right now.
Yeah.
Because he's my number 1 too.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. All those things that you said are absolutely right. But just close your eyes and picture this. Michael Thomas is out there. Jarvis Landry's over there. And Alvin Kamara's in the backfield. Why are you going to try to cover Chris Olave? Yeah. He's going to have the most opportunity in that offense to rip teams up. And it's just because he's the 4th wheel. He's a rookie that hasn't proven himself. Now, by about mid-season, I think that will probably change. You're going to see more underneath zones to try to take some away. But he's going to have an opportunity, especially early, to make a big mark. And I think he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's going to pick up right where he left off at Ohio State, being extremely productive, a guy that blazed, ran a 4.3, high 4.3 in the 40-yard dash. I think he can play to that speed as well.
Do they give him the jet stuff? Do they work him behind the line of scrimmage, or do you just let him be the underneath guy and let everybody else take the attention?
I mean, he's more of a guy that I just want to get the ball to downfield. You know, the jet stuff and all that. I mean, you have Alvin Kamara to work everything underneath, to work a lot of the short passes, short area. And I think Jameis Winston, he'll be comfortable throwing the ball, you know, shallow to a guy like Alvin Kamara. You want to use Olave to stretch the field, open things up for Michael Thomas, potentially. Open things up for Jarvis Landry, because those guys aren't going to be running a whole lot of vertically pushing routes. So
it's all daggers all the time?
Daggers all the time, man. Who do you have as your wide receiver too?
I took a look. This was the hardest part for me. Obviously, honestly, it was a pretty easy call for me. But I debated the second guys because I think there's pressure on both of them, but in different ways. And I think the advantage has to go to the guy that has the better quarterback. So even though I like one other situation better, when I take a look at it, the guy that I think has the best possibility after Chris Olave to actually explode is Christian Watson. Because there's a lot of need without Devontae Adams on that roster. There's a lot of routes that they're going to ask him to run just to see if he can do it. And Aaron Rodgers is going to look for him. It's going to be a lot of tight end, a lot of Christian Watson, as far as I can tell. And just with Aaron, kind of the way that he's been the last couple of years, he's got to prove it. And I think that makes a difference. I think that gets Watson off to a great start.
You think so? Well, I'm going to wait till we get to the other side to tell you who my wide receiver 2 is in this class. All right, so you guys keep it locked right here. We got our first guy off the board. He got his second guy. We're going to continue this going up next. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at the price that you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Or whether you are ready to pop that big question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find a jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Build the engagement ring of her dreams or celebrate life's special moments with fine jewelry. No matter what you're looking for, Blue Nile has the jewelry experts on hand 24/7. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On NFL Draft listeners are getting $50 off for purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use the Locked On promo code. All right, again, that's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured and ships free and arrives in a discreet packaging, so it won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go right now to BlueNile.com. So it's time for me to tell you who my wide receiver 2 is now in this class, re-ranking the classes. And it's none other than Christian Watson. All right, now Christian Watson was my wide receiver 2 to begin with, and he's continued to be my wide receiver 2. And for that reason, you talked about, the quarterback position and the importance of it, and having a guy like Aaron Rodgers who is going to make you right even when you're wrong. He's going to put the ball in just the right place for you to be able to make a play. I mean, if you just watch highlights of Devontae Adams, how many of them are just Devontae, just stick your arms out, and then the ball just floats right into there, and he throws like the most catchable pass all the time. I mean, just beautiful throws. And I'm not saying that he'll have that same type of camaraderie with a young guy like Christian Watson, but I definitely think that, if you are a young guy, and we saw this with Allen Lazard, and I think that Christian Watson is like a faster version of Allen Lazard, right? But, a guy who was able to come in right away and start to be productive. I was on Twitter, and there was like this video going around. I know, right? There was this video going around of Allen Lazard and what he did to the New Orleans Saints. And he had like 150 yards. And you just saw how they were doing it. I'm like, gosh, I can definitely see them doing things like this with Christian Watson. And I think for Christian Watson, like you talked about with the Saints and how much we like Olave in that situation, but you don't have Michael Thomas with you. You don't have Jarvis Landry with you. It's you, right? It's you, and we'll see what Lazard ends up being. Obviously, they got Romeo Doubs. I think they signed Sammy Watkins, I believe. So
I think so.
But right now, I think they are trying to prepare for young receiver Christian Watson to kind of be the guy. So I think he's in a prime opportunity to really be able to hit the ground and, okay, like, I'm all in on this. And right now, last thing I heard, he was taking reps with the first team because Allen Lazard was out. But, first team reps nonetheless. So that's my wide receiver too.
Don't forget Robert Tonyan. And I know you fantasy guys know this, but I think the tight end's going to have a factor in there too. And so if they have a tendency to stack him and let him play on the side with the tight end, I think that helps him.
All right, here we go. So let's talk about our wide receiver 3. And I'll let you go first again.
Oh, no, I stole yours last time. You got to go first.
Okay, all right, here we go. So wide receiver 3, we got Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. I believe he was my wide receiver 3 in the actual class as well. But, this is a kid that went to the New York Jets, and you look at their situation there at receiver, I think that alone just helps him. Like, he just has to now, like, solidify himself as a guy. How are they going to use Elijah Moore? I think it's going to be more Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Obviously, they have Davis there. I think they want that young guy to come in, be explosive. I think he's a do-it-all guy that's going to line up in all areas of the field, be that twitched-up kind of guy, that jitterbug that can win with routes. I think there's a lot of comparison to kind of Stephon Diggs with, again, when you say comparison, it's not saying he's going to be this guy, but just that type of ability. And we'll see if it plays out that way. And a lot of it might be on the young quarterback who, he's kind of up and down during OTAs. Again, we don't want to take a whole lot away from OTAs, but just, okay, can he get in the rhythm and be that guy that can consistently deliver the ball to these young receivers and specifically Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson, that's my wide receiver 3.
Man, I had him number 1. He was my number 1 in the draft. I don't like the situation that much. I know that they're trying to bolster the offensive line to help out Wilson. I just don't feel like it's clicking enough to let Garrett really have the season that I think he's capable of having. I think they got to figure out that offense. It's more than just protection to get Wilson really cranking, right? And I think just right now, with Moore there, I think there's, for a quarterback that struggled, I think he's going to lean on his chemistry, right? And I think that slows down the progress for Wilson. So I left him off my list because of the quarterback situation. I think it's just hard to overcome. But you're right, in the end, he will earn that trust because he can do everything. And he can get those tough catches that, in all honesty, I think Wilson's still going to throw some balls that are questionable, specifically because of the speed of the game. I didn't see it slow down enough for him. Late in the season, I thought that he came around a little bit, but I got to see it early this year before I know for sure. And hopefully the line upgrades are enough to slow it down for him. And if so, then I think Wilson can reap the benefits. I just don't think he's going to be in the top 5 because of that situation. Whereas my number 3 guy, I think, could push a little bit further because they're going to have to feed him because he and Kyle Pitts are the offense in Atlanta. And I think in the end, the only question for Drake that kept him down, Drake London is my number 3, folks, if I didn't say that plainly enough. The only thing that knocked Drake down below Olave and Watson is that I'm not sure how long the coaching staff is going to force Mariota to start ball games. The faster Ritter's in there, the better for Drake London. I'm just going to say that flat out because at the end of the day, you have to feed him and Pitts, and I think Ritter will do it. Whereas I think Mariota will probably lean on being more creative with his legs early and bail himself out a little bit.
That is another one of those situations where, again, the quarterback situation that they have going on there, it is a little iffy. And how much can you count on Mariota? And I just believe he's going to start a majority of their games. And if so, I think that's going to hurt Drake London and his production. I think they're going to want to lean on the running backs there and take as much off of Mariota's hands as possible. They're going to utilize Mariota in the run game a little bit as well. We saw some of that with the Las Vegas Raiders, whereas they're doing some read option type stuff. But I think there's some ability there, but I don't trust him all the way. So it's hard for me to have Drake London on this list.
Okay.
I want to talk about my wide receiver 4, and then we'll get into our 5th guys and maybe some guys that didn't make the list. But Treylon Burks, receiver out of Arkansas, heading over to the Tennessee Titans. You look at his skill set, and it's like, well, it mirrors A.J. Brown. And then what do you know? He gets drafted to the team that had A.J. Brown. I think if there's anyone that's going to know exactly how to utilize the guy that has that similar skill set, it's them. Now, will he be A.J. Brown? Like, I don't know. You know, A.J. Brown, one thing about him, although they are kind of built a little similar, A.J. Brown was like an action figure. Like, he was like all muscle, right? I don't know if Treylon Burks has been working out to that extent. And will that affect his game? I mean, maybe not. I mean, look at Hunter Renfrow. He looks like he's never touched a weight in his life, and he's one of the better receivers in the NFL. All right, so, but Treylon Burks, I think he's going to step in. They're going to know exactly how to utilize him. I could see him making plenty of big plays off of play action. Might have to get that asthma thing that they're talking about.
Right.
He has to get that under control just a little bit. But aside from that, just in the sense of a guy that I believe that can come in and be very productive with a veteran quarterback who isn't the biggest like playmaker type quarterback, but definitely a quarterback who can make a lot of throws on the field, and he will pick up yards. And again, I mean, you talked about some of these other guys who was like Drake London over there in Atlanta. Well, who else does Tennessee Titans have? I mean, they do have Robert Woods, and that's about it. You got Robert Woods, you got Treylon Burks. So I think there's going to be a lot on his shoulders, but he's going to get a lot of opportunity.
I like where you're going with it. I can't argue. I left him off my list because of the asthma, because I'm worried he's going to come in heavy. And I think for him in his game, I think he needs to be on the lighter side, and hopefully he can get that under control. If so, I agree with you. I think they'll know how to use him. It's whether he's going to be able to execute. But he did not make my 5. My number 4 guy.
No, hold on.
Oh,
He's your number 4 guy. We're going to save that for when we come back. All right. So you guys keep it locked right here. Ryan's going to get his number 4 guy. We're going to get both of our number 5 guys. And then we'll get into some guys that did not make it. Keep it locked right here. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for all of your betting stats and sports information. Find all of the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup between the Warriors and the Celtics going on right now. All right. The NHL Hockey Conference Finals, Major League Baseball, and of course, all the latest fighting news from MMA to UFC boxing. All right. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head over right now to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action going on at BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Ryan. So we started to tease it up a little bit. I think people were leaning in like, okay, who's he going to say is this wide receiver 4? Let us know now.
Well, you better lean in, Croc. You're going to like this one. I'm going to steal it from you because it's Alec Pierce. At the end of the day, Matt Ryan is going to find a way to use him much like he did with Ridley. And I think there's going to be a trust factor in some of the things that Pierce can do for him. He's a vet, and he wants a guy that can help him out at the catch point. I really like the pairing. I didn't like it as much as you pre-draft, but now that he's there, I can see that becoming a steady feed of targets that I think he will take advantage of. I think he might have a little bit of trouble early, but I think he'll make the bigger catches rather than some of the easy ones, and I think that will begin to feed him. And I think with Pittman across the way, I like the fact that Matt Ryan's going to throw into some windows where it's up to the receiver to go get it, and I have faith in Pierce to do that. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to play action the pass. And I think that works well for everybody in that offense, but particularly for Pierce, because I think it just gives him that edge to get loose and do what he does best. So did I steal your 4?
You did not steal my 4, and I'm actually upset that I forgot to put him on here because he probably would have been higher than a lot of these other guys. You know, I've raved about his game and how I believe it translates to the NFL. And I need to start looking into how, what are the OTA reviews on Alec Pierce and how he's doing. I know a few Colt guys that I can reach out to and try to find that out. I know we got some guys on the Colts on the Locked On Network. But, I mean, just a guy that he's going to come in and be able to do it all, whether it's line up on the outside, line up inside. I love how he defeats press. He can do it with his hands. He can do it with his quickness. Then it's just the ability to really just outrun guys. I think he's going to be a much bigger playmaker type guy than people are expecting. I think if he comes in and they put him in the slot as well, I mean, he's going to win right away. And this is a guy, again, not just because they're both white guys, but, Cooper Kupp, who just made a ton of money. These are both big slot type guys. I think they move
Sizable.
extremely well. And one of the more important elements to their game, they are extremely smart. When you watch Cooper Kupp and a lot of things that he does well is finding that open space, sitting down in that zone. Well, you look at Alec Pierce and watch him at Cincinnati. He did a lot of those things as well. They moved him around a lot. This was not a guy where it's just like, okay, you line up on the right side and you're going to run routes from there. No, you line up on the right side, you line up on the left side, you line up in the slot on the left, you line up in the slot on the right. Like, you just do some bunch stuff. You be the point man. They did so many different things with him, and I think that's going to really help take his game to the next level. But that was not my number 5 guy. All right, I gave you my 4, Treylon Burks. My number 5 guy, you want to guess?
I don't. I want you to tell me because I don't want to be wrong.
All right, here we go. Jahan Dotson, Penn State receiver, going to the Washington Commanders. And, you got Terry McLaurin over there. I think overall, man, and again, I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is just this amazing quarterback, but I think I might be a little bit higher on him in the sense of like the output of these receivers than others. I think that Dotson is going to do a terrific job being able to stretch the field. I think they're going to move him around as well. He's a dynamic receiver. Being able to play off of Terry McLaurin and the attention that the defense is going to give to him, oh, man, yeah, I got to go with Jahan Dotson. So I think he's going to have one of the better years as a rookie, as long as he can just grasp what they're doing. And, again, Carson Wentz, I mean, that's the deciding factor right there with how well this whole thing goes. And, I've seen guys play well with him. Again, I know a lot of people are down on Carson Wentz right now. It feels like it has to do more with who he is as opposed to the football player that he is. Mm-hmm. But that's one thing that hopefully if he can get that together, I think Jahan Dotson's going to have a big year.
Wow, I like it. I like seeing the faith in the ginger. I like that. For those of you who are listening and not watching on YouTube, there's still a lot of red in here. There's a little gray, but there's a lot of red in here. So I appreciate the faith in another redhead. I'm not going with you though, because I don't share that faith. I got to tell you. And there's 2 people, the only 2 people I think that are going to be upset with my next selection for number 5 is probably Gabriel Davis and Jamison Crowder. You Bills fans know it's Shakir. Khalil Shakir is going to be a guy underneath Diggs, across from Diggs, behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to be a weapon for Josh Allen. They're going to get creative ways to use him. And I know there's a departure of the offensive coordinator, so maybe it's not the same kind of creativity, but he's going to be there, and he's going to have an effect. And with that much cover over the top, and quite frankly, not the greatest competition underneath, I feel like by midseason, he's going to be clicking on all cylinders, and I think he's going to have a great surge to it. He may not end up in the top 3, but I think he's going to come on at the end of the year.
I mentioned a couple of players early on that I thought, could potentially have big years, but a little bit questionable about their situation, so they didn't make it in the top 5. Do you have any players off the top of your head where you're like, man, this guy could have easily made my top 5 list?
I won't say easily, but I think Mechie could have made it. I'm really intrigued by the guys that you kind of ruled out right away, Pickens and Austin, because I do think if one of them clicks, I do think it's going to be Trubisky to start the season, but I think maybe midway-ish, it's probably going to give way to Pickett. That transition might be the change point for Pickens, so I was considering him as well. Tolbert, I think, is just in a crowded room. Your guy, Danny Gray, I don't know. Does he have a chance to get targets? I don't know.
I don't really see it.
Right?
Not to the extent of being in someone's top 5, but hey, you never know. Catch lightning in the bottle, and a guy that, he does have speed, maybe he just starts catching bombs everywhere.
Let me ask you. There's one name we haven't mentioned that I thought maybe you would go for at 5 because you have a lot of faith in his quarterback, more so than I do, maybe more so than anybody but John Harris. But can John Mechie make a run with Davis Mills?
I think so. I think he's a guy they're going to need that. They're going to need that production right away. And he's going to have that opportunity. You got Brandon Cooks playing on one side, and he moves around, and they're going to have to do some things with John Mechie. I think with Mechie, it's going to be more so about, how much has he recovered? Does he, hit the ground running, and he's good to go right away? If those things happen, then, I think he'd be very productive. But, are they going to try to ease him in? Are they going to throw him in there right away? I mean, what's his injury update as we speak today? Those are things we just don't know. So it's a little tougher. Even though I mentioned Jameson Williams and made it more about the quarterback situation, with Mechie, I feel like we just haven't heard much about it. I mean, at least with Jameson Williams, pre-draft, we saw the video of him kind of moving around and running and doing some things, exercising, not really cutting, we don't want you out there cutting really, but I haven't seen anything from Mechie. So just a few more questions, but definitely a guy who I'm high on.
I like it. And then there'll always be somebody that jumps out of the blue. Could it be Sky Moore? I don't think so. He's gonna be used as a tool in Kansas City. Mahomes is gonna try to spread the ball around a lot, but I don't know if it's enough to get into the top 5.
I don't know, man. There are a lot of receivers there, but if they prioritize Sky Moore and what he brings, he's definitely a guy who just want to figure out different ways to get the ball in his hands and maybe do some special things. Really like his quarterback. They're going to throw the ball a lot. That's for sure. He's going to have plenty of opportunity. We want to give you the opportunity to tell us who your top 5 guys are in a re-ranked rankings, all right? Guys, where you're looking at their situations and you see, okay, I like this, I like that. Hey, you guys are missing out on this guy. Let us know. Follow us on Twitter at Eric_Crocker or Ryan Tracy NFL. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, come on, man, you got Locked On 49ers, you got Locked On Chiefs host right here. But that's going to do it. We'll see y'all Tuesday when we got our guy, John Harris, with us. Peace.